everybody. Gregg Weiss here from Delray Beach Community Forum. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're excited to have you here. Today is our fourth installment of interviewing with the Delray Beach City Commission candidates, and I'm excited to bring today to you, we have Jennifer Jones from Delray Beach, but running for C2, and we're going to spend probably a good 15 minutes with Jennifer to find out some of her views about Delray, some of her opinions about some of the issues in Delray, and we are going to be answering, well, she'll be answering 4 questions that you, our members, have submitted for Jennifer. So without further ado, let's introduce Jennifer. She's going to spend a minute or two to talk a little bit about her, and then we'll get right to the questions. Good morning.
Good morning,
Thank you so much
Greg.
for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This is great. I love this platform.
Oh, awesome. So what would you like to tell our members?
As stated, my name is Jennifer Jones, and I'm running for C2. The election is on March 17th, so we invite you all to please come out to vote. I have lived in Delray since 1995. I am a child of Haitian immigrants, and when we came here, we really felt welcomed by the city of Delray. Delray is a great place to raise a family. It's a great place to go to school, to work, and I see, changes that's happened in Delray in the past 25 years. A lot of it is great changes. The city has expanded, a lot of development, but a lot of the areas where the residents are living are underserved, and some residents feel ignored. Honestly, I feel like there's a lot of things that we can do better in Delray. We can bring more sustainability, more um, housing, affordable housing in Delray. We can bring out better jobs where people can live and work close to home. And I don't know that our current commission is doing so. And so I really want to bring that about some change. I want to be a voice for the working class. I really believe that our city, our residents, is what's making us so great. That is the reason why Delray has been All-American City 3 times. That's why Delray, people keep on moving into Delray, but we lack representation. So this is why I'm running, so that I can be the voice for the working class, for people that look like me, that feel like they're underrepresented, and to make sure that there's fairness in how things are allocated in Delray.
That's an excellent opening statement. It's so exciting to be able to hear you guys and speak your genuine voice about your passion and love for Delray.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited that you're running. It takes a lot to get up, to make that decision to run, and we certainly appreciate it. So are you ready for some questions?
I'm ready. Hit me.
Okay. Well, these are some tough ones. No, our members are pretty easy on you guys. So there's going to be 4 questions. 2 of them are going to be related to economic development, 1 crime and safety, and 1 education.
Okay.
So we're going to start off with education. Okay? So the first question is, what specific ideas do you have? What actions would you take to create more opportunity for students in Delray Beach?
So education is extremely important to me. It's something that it's saddened me that a lot of the great programs that were in Delray are gone. IB program, madness program in our schools. So I definitely want to work hand in hand with the school board, work directly with them to find out how can we bring back more of these programs in Delray where our children can excel, where they can have greater opportunities to have more, academies. Also, I think that we should work more with nonprofit organizations. We have the great programs right now with the Achievement Center, with AGS projects. But what we can do is create more mentoring programs within Delray that we can connect our children with organizations that already have the desire to help our children, that require either the access or the funding to do so. And I really believe that working together as city government and with our residents directly will make a change for our children. Education for me is important as a whole as well, not just for our children, but for also young adults and adults in the workplace. You realize how the workforce is changing and how we need more training, we need more certified people that are knowledgeable in the field that they want to work in, and the jobs that are opening require more certification. So if we can bring in these programs in Delray for the working adults, where they can get an apprenticeship or at least a training that would allow them to get better jobs, that will allow them even to learn a trade that they can start their own business in.
Well, you bring up a valid point because ever since the Great Recession of 2008, 2009, the dynamic of the workforce has changed. Right now, 40% of all workers right now are either contract employers, home-based, or independent. They own their own businesses. So there's definitely been a shift, and a lot of people are doing career changes mid-career at even at my age, at 52.
Absolutely. And being a tax preparer, I see more and more of my clients coming in with 1099s because they're independent contractors.
Yep.
And there is a need to sharpen your skills to make sure that you can compete in the workforce. And for instance, Dr. Deborah Robinson with the school board is working with Village Academy to create more programs to, and I would support things like this that will expand the programs we already have in existence. Find in our budget the funding to make sure that we prioritize our children, we prioritize the residents of Delray, and not just create incentive for others, developers or other corporations to come from outside to pour into Delray. Well, why not pour from within? We can do that, and we should.
Okay. I appreciate your insights on education and our children. So the next two questions have to do with economic development.
Okay.
So I know you look excited about that one. It's always a tricky subject in Delray. So question number one that was submitted. Now that Vin Nolan, Joan Goodrich, and Elizabeth Burrows have left, the Office of Economic Development is without a director and staff. In a city of 69,000 residents with a budget that's about a little north of 140 million, one could argue that nobody is steering the economic development ship known as Delray Beach. So what are your thoughts on the need of leadership in the area of economic development, and what would you do to facilitate the process of filling these vacancies?
That is an extremely good question. Whoever submitted that question, kudos. I think that we have to work hand in hand with the city manager because he does a lot of the hiring to make sure that not only are we tapping into a pool of educated, expert people, but that we're also expanding who we're offering this position to. And I'm excited to have an opportunity to work with him to figure out what we have to do to bring in experts in their field into Delray. It's important that we have someone who understands finance, but also understands the intricacies of a small town like ours. I say small because we're not, we don't have thousands upon thousands of people, but we have that small hometown feeling, even with all the development.
Well, to be quite truthful, many cities that have our demographic, both in size of citizens and diversity of citizens, they have economic development teams.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I understand exactly what you're trying to say.
Yeah, it is really important, and it's important that we fill this vacancy as soon as possible, because how can we steer our town into the right direction and grow and create more sustainable programs and make sure that our budget is allocating its funds properly. Everything that has to do with our economy has to do with how we manage it. If you never balance your checkbook, eventually something's going to bounce. And so it's extremely important that we bring people in that will have at heart our town. I think it's important to have someone, not just bring someone who has a great, portfolio or who tells you all the great things they have done, but are willing to understand what makes our city unique and what makes our needs unique and how they can go about highlighting the best parts of Delray while allowing us to grow in a way that's not gonna we're not gonna lose the essence of Delray. I think sometimes we forget that in growth there is an importance in retaining, your charm as well. And sometimes we see buildings and developments and things happening in Delray. It's great for the economy, it's great for tourism, but you still feel at home.
There's a balance.
Yeah, that's important.
Okay. So that leads us into our next economic development question, which is a tie-in to this one, and it's definitely a little bit more granular. So on the subject of economic development, what specific ideas do you have? What actions would you take to spur economic growth and diversity in Delray?
That's also a great question.
Well, our members, they give us great questions.
Yeah, I love them. They're great. I look forward to serving them on the board.
I appreciate that.
I bringing in more ease, I guess, in for small businesses, for instance. I think it's important. Like, we are in a small business right now, in a place that has thrived and grown because of its residents, because of its hometown feel. And so it's important to support small businesses. It's important to either create funds or go after funding from federal, state, even within the city. Make more of an allocation to support various residents, various economic groups, diverse groups of people, entice them to come and start their own small businesses. And I don't mean great corporations, although they're nice, but we also want to bring economic stability to our own residents. So I do think that creating maybe a task force that will look directly into where can we find more funding, where can we create more of an avenue where we can support the working class, support those that don't have commas in their checking accounts, and to bring more of a diverse business owners in Delray. Um, yeah, I think that kind of covers.
We could sit here for hours and actually talk about different ideas, but that is a great starting point, and I think people will truly relate to that concept of bringing in the smaller entrepreneurial class here in Delray. So,
Yeah, definitely. And I think that it's important also to support the existing businesses.
That's very true.
Those that are there, if there has to be a way that we can help them more. I heard a business owner on Atlantic stated that he needed some funding just to paint the outside of his restaurant, and he could not get that. And I asked him, how much do you need? He said maybe $3,000. Well, you can't get that from your city. That's unfathomable to me. And so we have to create ways that we can support the existing businesses in Delray to allow them to grow and to stay. There's got to be something we can do about stuff like that.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. So the last question that was submitted by our members has to do with crime. And I'll read this slow because there's some statistics and numbers in this question that was submitted. Neighborhood Scout, a service that tracks crime in neighborhoods both on a regional basis but also on a national basis. They recently gave Delray Beach a safety ranking of 7% out of a possible 100. Okay. They found that we have 42.6 crimes per 1,000 residents, and of that, 5.9 violent crimes per 1,000 residents. How important is resident visitor safety, and what are some of your ideas for improving safety in Delray Beach?
So I would first ask the question: do you know how old this how old is how long ago this report came out?
This is last year's data.
Okay.
So this is because when I did my background check vetting these questions, I saw and I wanted to make sure that the source was legitimate because people can say anything on the internet. The data appears to be from 2019.
Okay. I know that Chief Javaro Sims has been working tirelessly to make some changes in Delray. So I do believe that supporting our police force to allow them to be able to do their job, be more present in our community, will definitely allow more people to feel safe. I think that there are a lot of changes that are happening within the department to make it a more enjoyable work environment. I did a ride along with one of the police officers, and he was telling me how much the atmosphere in the police department is improving just because of the management of Chief Sims and how the administration itself, just the management team, how well they work together and how well they work with their officers. So I think it's important that our public safety feels at home and feels that they are supported by us as a city. It's extremely important for us to feel safe, to feel that we can walk out and not be afraid to go to our car because we forgot something at midnight. I honestly feel very safe in my neighborhood. Quick anecdote: the other day, I was stumbling at the door with my keys, and my husband heard me. He came and he opened the door for me, and so I get inside, put my stuff down. Yeah. In the morning, I look for my keys everywhere. Now, what did I do with my keys?
Guilty.
Left them in the door. Couldn't believe it.
Wow.
But overnight, and nothing happened. And so I'm not saying that this is, an example in every neighborhood.
Of course.
But I do think that we have goodwill people that live next to us. For the most part, the residents of Delray are caring, loving, fun people to be around. And I don't think that the main problem in Delray really resides in our residents. It may be some truancy. I think a lot of the crimes are happening from people that may not be rooted in Delray. And so we can definitely find a way to work with the police department to create maybe more path in what are these areas that have the crime, and how can we increase police presence. Do we need as a city to come up with a plan to educate people about how to protect themselves. I've seen Chief Sims go into neighborhood organizations, for instance, the Northwest Southwest Neighborhood Alliance, and speak to people about what can you do to protect yourself. You know, for instance, if you're, if one neighborhood is the breaking into cars, make sure you lock your car, make sure you don't leave anything inside. The basics, right? Exactly. But sometimes we have to be reminded. And I've heard it in every neighborhood. I heard it in Northwest Southwest. I heard it at Tropicals. I've heard it in different neighborhoods. So it's not specific to one environment. It really is throughout.
Understandable.
But there are things that we can do to work together also. Maybe encourage some neighborhood to have neighborhood watch. Neighbors look out for one another, especially if you see something or there's a streak of particular crimes happening. Uh, some neighborhoods are really good at it. Others don't talk to one another. So encouraging to have these neighborhood talks, these coming together as neighbors.
Dialogue.
Yeah, absolutely. I think and that's something I would love to see increase also from the days, like from the commissioners, that we spend more time in the community talking to its residents, hearing directly what they need, and finding out how can we create solutions for these problems.
Excellent. So now we're done with the questions, and this is the real fun part.
Yay.
So now you have a closing statement, and you can just express really what you like the voters, the citizens, those watching. What would you like them to know about you, your candidacy, and why you should be elected to C2?
Okay, I should talk to them, right?
Yeah, talk. Listen to the camera now. Hey, camera.
um, I if you can tell yet, I'm very passionate about Delray. I love everything about this town, and I think that it's important that we have a sense of co-governance, that we understand why our city is run the way that it is, and that we can see where we're going. How can we continuously move forward? What are the plans that are needed to be implemented? There are comprehensive plans that have been put in place by the residents. Conversation that's happened in Delray, the set transformation plan. There are plans regarding coastal management, and we just have to implement them. We have to put this plan into action because the communities affected have spoken, but it's not happening right now. And it has something to do with our current management, and which is why we're asking you to come out to vote, because we have to make a change. Some people say that, well, Jennifer, you've never run for office before. That's true. This is my first go at politics, but I'm a community activist at heart. I've always fought for my community. I've fought for children to have better education. I've worked for the school board. I worked for different nonprofit organizations. I worked at the church level, all the way to conference level, just so that we can find better ways to support and encourage our children to do better. And I want to do that for my city. I want to be able to come into your neighborhood and talk to you and bring this directly to the people who can make a change. And sometimes it's difficult to present yourself in person, or you don't know what to say, or you don't know how to address it. I've been there. I've gone to city commission meetings and hear what's going on and go, huh? And so I think it's important to have someone that has a seat at the table that can, bring some takeout. Take from the menu and then bring it to you and then break it down and explain what's going on and really give you a chance to be a part, not just in the meetings, but in the decision making as well. And there are 5 people that sits on the board, but we each represent every single resident of Delray. And it should not be our own personal agenda. It should not be what my own goal is to accomplish. My purpose is to be a representative for all the residents of Delray. And I think that we can come together to continue to grow in Delray, to evolve, to fix the errors of our ways, and to really create an atmosphere that is conducive to growth, to love, to enjoyment for the residents, and still attract the people that are wanting to move into Delray. We don't want to push anybody out, but we want to make sure that who is at home feels at home still. And so I'm a small business owner, and I have been part of the working class my whole life. So are my parents, and we understand the struggle of making ends meet. And we understand that sometimes you don't even know where to turn to get some help. And I'm not saying that it is the city's job to take care of everybody, but there are programs that are in place that a lot of residents don't know about. And so we should be able to find a way to distribute that information better. And if we can do that, and we can have more people participate into the assistance that's actually already available, then we can have a better Delray. And we can probably find paths to create even more of these programs to help more people. I know nonprofit organizations that got a small grant to do a project, and it went so well that they got more grants and then more grants, and because they got the funds and they worked it well. And I think that's what it is. It's almost like the biblical concept of the talent. You know, if I give you 2 and you expand it into 2, guess what? I'm going to give you some more. And we can do that with what we have in Delray. I just want to be a part of those that facilitate that.
Well, we really appreciate you coming out this morning and sharing your vision, sharing your passion about Delray with us. And we wish you a lot of luck in the election.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. This was a great conversation.
All right. Have a great day now.
See you around.